Hello and welcome to the wonderful world of old sheet music. I am Nicholas Carroll, your host. Tonight we are looking at a piece called Vale of Song. This is by Walter Rolfe. It is a pretty basic cover. There's not really any art to speak of here. You can kind of actually see through the cover. It's very thin paper. This music you're seeing is not on the cover. It's just, you can see through the paper. On the back, we just have this brief, not an advertisement, it's just a brief thing that says that the Summy Publishing Company, that's Summy with a U, has been in business for 65 years at the point this was published, which it was published in 1926, so it's quite old. So that tells you how old this Summy Music Company was. It says down here. It says it's out of Chicago. I couldn't find anything about it online, so clearly it's been out of business for quite some time. I did find that Walter Rolfe is a composer who wrote other pieces, most of them ragtime. This piece, A Vale of Song, especially when you look at it, it says it's tempo de valse, so it is a waltz, and it is definitely not ragtime. It's not a rag waltz. So that's not his usual fare, I guess you could say, from what I read. This piece has a lot of handwriting in it, lots of penciled in pedal markings that are the standard pedal simile kind of thing where you pedal every measure. I think it's kind of amusing that somebody wrote all of that in there, even though, you know, you could kind of, usually you can just remember that you're pedaling every measure, but this person marked all of them. It also has a lot of fingering written in for basic chords and even some letters. So that tells me that probably the person who was working on it or playing it was playing something above their normal reading level. That's not to say that's wrong. It's good to do that when you're first learning a new level of piece. So it's not like a very difficult looking piece. It looks to be intermediate, if that, maybe early intermediate. It does have two key changes. It looks like one is just going back and forth between the original key and the middle section. We got F major, then we got C major, and then we're back to F major. And other than that, there's not a whole lot for me to bring up. It does say copyright 1926. And then copyright renewed in 1953. So I'm thinking that this actual paper is probably from 1953. It's not the original 1926 sheet, even though the piece is that old or was written that time period. So let's see what it sounds like. So if you're a player, you probably notice I did not just keep my foot down all through every measure. I made the what I believe is the correct decision to not pedal for a lot of this, since we have this very clear melody in left hand. A lot of it is half steps, and you really wouldn't want to have your pedal down for that. It would just sound not that good. You don't want to blend that together. There's a few places I added pedal just where it made sense. I did not use it nearly as much as this person had marked, so I followed my own, not the penciled in markings to play it. I kind of over exaggerated the più animato that was in this middle section. I added pedal there because it makes sense with the slurs and the way it's written, and then kind of didn't use it again throughout a lot of the other places that they, whoever had played this, did. There's also a lot of fingering that was written in, I noticed, that was really incorrect. You know, it's not the fingering you would actually want to use. So that goes back to what I said earlier, that, you know, probably whoever had played this was not used to playing this level of piece. Perhaps it was just something they really liked and they wanted to learn it, that, you know, was above their level. And that was kind of a learning process, maybe, to try out these bigger chords, and then they weren't sure what fingering to use. So, Vale of Song, I thought it was, you know, really very basic. A pretty bland tune that was just kind of half steps, basically, with some standard chords. Not something you would really remember or think of as like a masterpiece. It's not like it was a bad piece, but, you know, don't take it that way. But I think it is very medium. I would consider it a learning piece, though it doesn't seem like it's marketed that way. It's something that I would say a certain type of student would be great to learn this, but, you know, the way it's written out, you know, it's almost like it's meant to be more of a performer piece, but it really isn't that when you actually play it. So that is Vale of Song by Walter Rolfe.